Our guest this evening has been on the mind of many lately for a variety of reasons, some of which we will get into this evening, starting with what he's here to discuss, primarily his new song, Distance, and his solo band, Mammoth, WVH's upcoming debut album. Wolfgang Van Halen is with us, and I hope you feel welcome because you are, and I've been so looking forward to this chat. So thank you for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. All right. First and foremost, congratulations on the success of Distance, your first solo song ever. It went right to #1 on the Apple Music chart. The song is debuted at #1 on the Hot Hard Rock Songs chart, and it's officially one of the week's top selling songs. What's the biggest compliment that anyone's given you on the song? I mean, the numbers look good, the critics love it, but the compliment that's meant the most to you?
Well, first of all, the reaction has just been so crazy. Like, I never could have seen this coming. But I think what's so important to me from what everyone has been saying is how much they can relate to it with how awful 2020 has been a year and how many people have lost someone important to them. I think the message of the song is really resonating with a lot of people, and I think that's what's kind of touched me the most out of this whole process.
It definitely has, without a doubt. Such a highly personal song, a beautiful tribute to your father, the late, great, incomparable Eddie Van Halen. Is it difficult to listen to the song? Do you anticipate maybe, quite honestly, having a difficult moment when performing it live?
Absolutely, because in order to play it, I kind of have to get into that space. I still haven't really been able to fully play it on my own, just by myself. Watching the video it's out of the question at this point. But playing it certainly it's going to take some separation in my head in order to play it properly.
The video, I know. It's like you cannot not cry when you watch that video. How did you get the footage together? You're not able to actually watch it, so how did it come together?
Yeah, I found that I had some digitized footage. My Uncle Patrick found some, and my mom found a whole bunch, which was really great because we were just struggling to find anything. And then we found this whole treasure trove of stuff and got it digitized. And then we went through, it was very therapeutic for me to go through all this footage. And we compiled some of my favorite clips. And then I sent them off to my editor, Chuck, who just did a fantastic job. I still had to watch the video maybe 10 or 20 times, which was very hard, but not nearly as hard as it was for Chuck, because he was just in the trenches. My manager kept making jokes, going like, "Yeah, we're just two men crying in the basement right now trying to get this video done."
So sweet.
Yeah, but Chuck did a phenomenal job.
It is beyond words, touching and beautiful. The debut album by Mammoth WVH set to arrive next spring. As you touched on, 2020, you know better than most, has been difficult for so many people, from protests to politics to a pandemic. How many of the songs were written this year? Because it's often referred to as your long-awaited debut album. So how many of those songs were written this year? And do you hear like a shift in, like pre-pandemic, pre-March 2020, a shift in the material depending on what you had?
It's actually really funny that I have written material the past year, but that won't be on the album because most of it musically and lyrically were finished in 2018. Other than Distance, which was, something I did finish to release for this. I recorded so many songs, and then I allocated the songs I want to be on the debut. But what I have found is that lyrically, some of the songs have really taken a new meaning through what has happened the past year. I'm seeing them in a whole different light and going like, wow, that actually really does relate to what's going on right now.
I was going to ask you, lyrically speaking, what are some of the themes you touched on?
Lyrically, I usually write my lyrics from a perspective where people can kind of derive their own meaning from. Sometimes they're just telling stories, and other times they are super personal, but I like to make sure that people, like whenever somebody hears a song and they're like, what's that about? I think it's about this. And it's like not even close to what it's actually about.
Right.
That makes me happy because people are taking their own meaning from it,
Right. You're one of those. Yeah, there's always that type of musician. Someone who will tell you exactly what it's about, and the person's like, it's whatever you want it to be. Figure it out. And also, what I heard in your prior comment was that you're already well into the sophomore album.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I recorded 28 songs for the first album. And the handful that kind of fell off the wayside, Distance was one of those songs, and I kind of finished it up after everything happened a month and a half ago. But there's a chunk of songs that are ready to go, waiting to be finished up for the next album. And so I'm excited that almost like half the work is kind of done for the second album.
How productive. I guess a lot of people have been using this year to write, so that's not unique to you.
Oh, it's been nice staying home and writing all the time.
Yeah, I hear you.
Therapeutic too. It's nice.
I hear that. So, I mean, you are the son of Eddie Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli, so I would imagine you had a unique upbringing, rock star dad, an Emmy Award-winning chef and TV star mom, which, by the way, I can't believe you made fun of her burnt onion rings on social media. That was so wrong. That was so funny, though. She took it well. That was very cute.
It's really fun to mess with her. Some people think it's like crossing the line and it's being too serious, but if you really know the relationship between the two of us, it's just harmless fun.
It seemed like it. And we all know she can, obviously, the Emmys prove she can cook.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a question for you on that right before we wrap. But in what ways did they prepare you for this moment, the all eyes on Wolfgang Van Halen moment that you're having now, if you will?
Wow. I don't know if they specifically did. They just I think my mom gave me a really grounded childhood and kind of kept the craziness out of my life. So maybe in a way that kind of really didn't prepare me for this, which is why I'm so shocked with everything. They both told me to believe in myself and that I could do anything. And I don't necessarily think that, but their faith in me and pride in me is what keeps me going when I don't have it in myself.
Thank you for that. Speaking of All Eyes on You, it was just announced that you're going to be part of the Aftershock Festival. How do you think it's going to be different to be the main man on stage, right? As opposed to like a supporting role, most eyeballs usually tend to be on the front man. So how does that sit with you?
Yeah, I'm nervous. I normally have a terrible anxiety problem. And the good thing is it's like a year from now. So that crushing anxiety doesn't have to hit me for a little while.
I can relate to the crushing anxiety, I gotta tell you. So you're just putting off thinking about it until you get to that moment.
Yeah, and hopefully I can do, the training and getting ready before then to where somehow my confidence will match up with the anxiety I have to combat before that happens.
The dance, as I like to call it, the dance.
Exactly.
You handled all instruments and vocals on Distance. Can that be said for the entire record? And if so, is it strange to hear other musicians play parts that you've played and you know exactly how you want them to sound?
Yeah, if anything, I feel kind of bad for my band because it's like they probably feel really nervous, at least at the beginning, not anymore. Like, we're really great friends to begin with. The drummer is Garrett Whitlock. I played with him in Tremonti. The guitar player is Frank Sidoris. He plays with Slash. And my buddy Ronnie Ficcaro played bass with Falling in Reverse. Just tremendous musicians and even better guys, which is really important to me. Once we got together, it was really easy. They're so great that I've never really had an issue. But also, I'm not that kind of tyrant guy to yell at them and push them around anyways.
And do you play all of the instruments on all of the songs, or was it just Distance?
Oh, yeah, 100%. The whole album is written and performed by me. It's kind of a trip.
Wow, I can't even imagine what kind of amount of work that is. All right, we're coming up on our time, so we will wrap on this one, which I like to wrap on a silly question. What is your favorite comfort dish your mom makes for you that is just like mind-blowingly delicious? No one can make it like Mom.
It's funny, after I did Howard Stern past Monday, she came over and she made everybody these breakfast burritos that she would make for me growing up. I've never been able to have anyone as good as the one she makes. So that breakfast burrito is pretty kick-ass.
Breakfast burrito for the W. All right. Wolfgang Van Halen's band is Mammoth WVH. The new song, Distance, it's powerful and beautiful. The video, we already touched on, a must watch. You can get all of that loudwire.com. Wolfgang, very confident that we will be following you for decades to come. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.